Kevin, it's disappointment. FA Cup run comes to an end today here at Sutton United. A score of 2-1 ultimately, and a good response in the last half hour after going 2-0 down. But I imagine it's the going that 2-0 down is probably the bit that's vexing you as much as anything.
Yeah, I'm disappointed to lose the game. I think, it was all us first half. They didn't have an answer to us. I think, when you come up against a full-time side, albeit, they're searching a little bit with their league form, and we generally felt this was a real opportunity for us today. But you have to give Sutton credit. They found a way to win the game after being, on the back foot for large parts of the game, and had no real answer to our ball management and the possession of the ball. As some of our phases of play were terrific today, as they have been over a period now this season. Proud of the lads, and that's nice to say that, but I'm kind of cheesed off, and more than cheesed off, that we haven't come through and won that game today. You have to get on with it and dust yourself down, and we have to go again Tuesday. We have to get back on the bike and get going again. And I can't ask for much more from the lads out there. Fine margin and fine moments, and as I say, credit to Sutton. They found a way to get through that game today. And yeah, look, we have to move on. As disappointed as we are, hopefully the strong travelling support that we had today none of us will be satisfied that we want to win that game, but certainly the way that the lads have performed, the honesty they've shown, the desire they've shown for the badge and those people, hopefully there's some comfort in that, albeit we're pretty raw with it at the moment and pretty cheesed off.
Sure, I was going to say, I do imagine that the feeling and it's evident, from yourself, that must be reflected in the players themselves.
Yeah, it's a quiet changing room, but we have to be honest about the situation and understanding of the situation. And again, as I went in at half time and said there that it's a little bit of a theme, and I suppose in a certain way the fact we are creating chances and moments is certainly a good thing, but you have to convert more of them, whether they're half chances or full chances. And I wouldn't necessarily say they were full chances in the first half. The goalie's made a good save down to his right. Steno's unlucky. There's one or two other near miss moments and one or two other areas that we get into that we've really got to make more use of. But credit to the boys at 2-0. It's a difficult place to find yourself, and they terrific character they show. They keep going. Ricky gets off the bench and wants to play more minutes, and been a little bit frustrated, but to show the moment he has and drag us back into the game. And again, lots of near miss moments thereafter. I appreciate Sutton has had some breakaway moments against us, but that's what they were. They weren't able to dominate the ball against us, and it was us dominating the ball against them, and we have to draw a lot of comfort from that, but understand converting moments and putting games to bed is that step forward that we need to take now.
Sure. You've spoken about Sutton and the possibility that they could have hit you late on there. You had to take some chances, didn't you, when you were 2-0 down? You made the double change almost straight away, another double substitution later on, so you tried not to leave anything out there.
Well, lads deserve an opportunity, and it's always a difficult one. You take Steno off, who's obviously can get you a goal at any given stage, but he's worked his socks off for whatever 80 minutes, and Aidan's done well for us. And okay, we can all split hairs of whether he should stay on or somebody should stay on or come off or whatever it might be. And you're trying to be fair to the lads that are on that bench and itching to have a chance in a moment. Ola's not had a lot of minutes lately, and he's got out there and done really well. And that's great for the overall for the group, and it's important that they keep fighting hard for one another, and we will be defined by subs that either get off the bench or get a start at some stage, coming in and really carrying the fight to the opposition. And there's plenty of lads that I think and hope in that change room that will do exactly that. As again you've seen, there's a lot of quality on show there today against a full-time outfit that. We certainly weren't lacking for fitness. We certainly weren't lacking for quality, and some of our phases of play were really exciting. And when I can stand here and say that they couldn't really get near us in the first half, and they were just playing on the counter, again is I suppose a crumb of comfort. But like I say, they've done the most important thing and they've won the game, and credit to them.
Yeah, I think you and I spoke after you'd watched their game against Farnham, particularly the replay, and I think you just suggested that they just found a way of just staying in the game, and they won it with virtually the last kick. But ultimately, it's getting through in a cup competition, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. Like they're not having the league campaign that they would wish for. I think there's lots of players there, and it's not for me to really comment, but you have to give them credit that they've come through that, and we're off the back of 3 decent results or whatever it is, and obviously some decent results in the cup, and we came in with a lot of confidence, albeit injuries to crucial players that we really could have done with today, but again there's no feeling sorry for ourselves. Crano slid across there and done brilliantly again. Jamie brilliantly in at left back, and the lads were, like I say, to a man, they were terrific today, no doubt about it. And that's why you can tell the frustration in the way I'm speaking, and that we haven't at least forced a draw. And you could argue that for all the possession we've had, we deserve more, but you've got to take your moments.
Sure. As much as there is disappointment, I suppose we could say that in some senses this is a big moment now, because the players they've clearly enjoyed this FA Cup run, and it's been exciting, and it's given them a sense of having a few extra people in the crowd and a bit of a buzz about the place. You need to try and keep that rolling forward, don't you? But we're going into a tough spell now, 3 away games.
Yeah, I mean obviously the run obviously brings about some cancellations in our league campaign, and we've got to fit them in, and November's going to be a really busy period for us. But the thing for me now is that Tuesday comes along obviously very quickly. We've got to rest up and can't feel sorry for ourselves, and I don't think they're the sort of group that will feel sorry for themselves. I hope not. And it is about how the reaction you show back at home, and look, they're a terrific bunch of lads that are talented and have been have played some really strong performances right the way throughout this season. As I've said numerous times, Rich, we probably didn't get quite what we deserve today, but that is football, and we have to understand that, and that's the bit we need to learn together. And dusting yourself down, going and wanting to do it all again. And like I say, the support today was terrific. The support at home has been terrific, continues to lift us, and find vital moments for us, and continue to lift us today. And when you can play in front of such a strong vocal following, we're really lucky, and it's important that we try to reward that in the best way that we can, and that's getting results.
Sure. Kevin, I'm sure you'd agree that the season certainly doesn't end here just because of one result. It's the FA Trophy. Potentially, I mean, that's a more, dare I say, more winnable competition.
Look, you're going to go out of the FA Cup, aren't you, at some stage? You always want a little bit more, you're always a bit greedy. We've worked hard to get to this point. I want to be greedy and deliver a bit more for our club. Hasn't quite happened to us. It's a respectable performance, no doubt about that. But as I say, there was a lot of disappointment in that changing room, and it's how we react now. And like I say, look, looking forward to our league campaign. Hopefully we'll stay really competitive. Hopefully we get 1 or 2 back from injury. We've got on with it today, and like I say, in big moments, people have stepped in there and been absolutely terrific. And when you've got boys like that to work with, they are a pleasure. They give you plenty of cause for optimism. Like I say, just go again and have another go on Tuesday.
Sure. Kevin, thank you as always for your time. Commiserations on today, but also thank you for obviously what went before today in the FA Cup. It's been really enjoyable.
Thank you.